Women's choice of a partner is not a clear-cut algorithm, but a complex mechanism of adaptation to the environment. Unlike a mathematical formula that would work the same for everyone, women's preferences change depending on climate, culture, and social environment. It is not a search for the perfect candidate, but a process of weeding out unsuitable options. The key phrase that reveals the essence of this mechanism is filtering algorithm. From this follows two simple conclusions. The first one is that a man can turn himself into a Superman until he is blue in the face, meeting all the criteria of a real man, but in the end, he will be rejected without a chance for the slightest success. We often see this in real life, when a guy suddenly declares, "What did she find in him? I, her, and this and that. And she is what?" Relax, friend. It's just that your version of a partner is irrelevant under the circumstances. The second, there is no point in adjusting to expectations and imposed norms, somewhere in the world already born girls who will soon need exactly like you. There is no single sample of the ideal, was not, and will not be. The filtering mechanism is so complex that nature has deliberately created a large number of male types, in the presence of a much smaller number of female. And everyone is in demand. Can you imagine? Skinny, fat, tall, short, redhead, brunette, and blonde, with a short haircut and long hair, aggressive and calm, active and lazy. The universe needs every option, and the role of a woman is to screen out those who are irrelevant at the moment, in the current environment. Not the bad and unfit, but the irrelevant. It's important. How climate and reproductive task influences women's choices. It has been observed that in cold regions, women are more likely to choose men with dense body vegetation and significant fat reserves. This is explained by the need for survival. Such traits help to keep warm and withstand harsh conditions. In hot countries, preferences shift towards slender, hardy men with a minimum amount of hair and short haircuts. Baldness is not perceived as a serious disadvantage here. This is an adaptation to high temperatures and the need for effective cooling of the body. In this case, the choice is not based on personal gain, but on the search for strong genes. In the established reality, the carriers of strong genes are these types. Interestingly, even here there are deviations. For example, the development of technology has led to the fact that in the northern regions, it is not necessary to be a hairy large man. Heating easily solves all problems. In the south, you can be a hairy fat man and feel fine under air conditioning. So the selection criteria are starting to change. If there were a universal algorithm, it would require constant adjustment, which is inefficient from the point of view of evolution. The whole process is based solely on two rules. The first is the woman's task right now. It can be a search for a carrier of strong genes, or an attempt to bind a husband, a provider, a protector, to herself. In your conscious part, you can tell any tales. Psychologists have long ago figured out how the whole mechanism works at the subconscious level. As soon as the task is defined, the psyche begins to take into account the context. And there is a huge set of parameters, including climatic conditions. To get offspring capable of survival, you need to find a partner with the necessary qualities. This increases the likelihood of getting those strong genes. If the task is to bind a prey and a protector, the selection criteria change dramatically. Resourcefulness comes to the forefront. Already at this moment, two friends realize that we like completely different guys. Why does a woman's brain work to screen out rather than choose? A woman's brain is designed not to look for reasons to connect with a particular man, but to find arguments against him. Simply put, no representative of the tender sex does not look at guys from the position of, "This one I like." She stops the choice on the one in which it was not possible to find reasons for rejection. The psyche takes each parameter and looks for flaws, but the curious thing here is that the set of parameters is determined individually. For example, one thinks, alcoholism is bad. When she meets a drinking man, a red light goes on in her head, blown away. And for another, it doesn't matter. She considers high height important. When she meets a 2-meter tall guy, she can't blow him off, so the subconscious test is passed. Thus, two girls can meet the same man, but one has a stop signal for a bottle of beer in his hand, and the other has a green light for his height. The first found a reason to reject him, the second didn't. This is confirmed by numerous examples from life. A girl may get acquainted with two attractive men, but after several meetings, she begins to notice their shortcomings. One smokes, the other is disrespectful. She ends up rejecting both of them, even if she initially liked them. Consciously, she is unable to process this information. The whole process takes place subconsciously in the background. This mechanism is not an accident, but an evolutionary advantage. A woman who carefully filters her partners increases the chances of offspring survival. When a woman is in search of a provider, her criteria will be skewed toward courtship, gifts, solving her problems, proof and affirmation of affection. If she is at the stage of searching for strong genes, the criteria will be different, personality-wise. A man gets high on life, he is in a good mood, and then a set of appearance characteristics that are important for a particular lady. Height, weight, presence or absence of a potbelly, beard, shoulders, back. But it will always be centered not on what she liked about you, but on what caused the rejection. She is not looking for a reason to fall in love. She is constantly in a state of find a flaw and reject. And only if no flaws have been found, she gives herself to the winner. So stop conforming to her expectations. She herself doesn't know what she wants. Somewhere deep in your subconscious mind, there is a list of criteria for testing. Against each will be put ticks and crosses. Your task is not to earn points, but to avoid the stop signal. 2 ways to find a partner: limited choice or leaving the comfort zone. Traditionally, women chose a partner from a narrow circle: tribe, village, social stratum. This approach guaranteed stability, but limited the possibilities. If a girl looks for a man only among the available options, she will remain in the same social and financial position. In the past, women did not have the tools to go beyond their familiar surroundings, but today the situation has changed. Therefore, we see a paradox in which wealthy men have an attraction to commoners, and poor gals with low social status try to jump out to marry a rich man. Throughout history, this has been impossible, and today mankind recovers losses through compensation and protest. The internet and social networks have erased the boundaries between people of different status. Celebrities, businessmen, and politicians have become more accessible for socializing. Expensive restaurants, private clubs, and elite resorts are now open to those who are ready to work on their image. This gives women a unique chance, not to settle for the best available, but to purposefully look for a partner who can change their lives. The scenario in which the housekeeper became the wife of the cottage owner, and not his mistress for a couple of times, is actively broadcast in TV series for representatives of the tender sex. What previous generations could not even dream of has become a possible reality. How modern technology has changed the rules of the game. In the past, getting to know a man of high status required incredible effort. You needed connections, money, or luck. Today, everything is different. Social networks allow you to write a message to anyone, and geolocation services help you to be in the right place at the right time. Famous men are now forced to be polite. The fear of public scandal forces them to respond even to messages from unfamiliar girls. However, accessibility is only the first step. To attract the man of your dreams, you need not only to find him, but also to keep him. Here to help come to the aid of psychological techniques that help to arouse interest and emotional attachment. Unlike the past centuries, when a woman could count only on modesty, innocence, and submission, today charisma, confidence, and the ability to dialogue are important. Why do most women stay in their comfort zone? Despite the new opportunities, many girls continue to choose partners the old-fashioned way, from their immediate environment. The reasons for this lie in the fear of rejection, insecurity, or banal laziness. It is much easier to meet with a colleague or classmate than to try to get acquainted with a successful stranger. However, this approach deprives a woman of the chance for radical changes in life. Evolution did not prepare women for the fact that they will have a million choices. Ancient instincts work in the conditions of a limited range of candidates, but the modern world requires a different approach. If a girl wants to marry a man who can solve her financial and social problems or give her the best genes in the environment, she will have to act consciously and thoughtfully. What is more important, safety or opportunity for growth? Staying in the familiar circle is safe and predictable. Going beyond it is risky, but it opens the door to a new life. The choice depends on a woman's goals. If she needs stability, she can limit herself to a traditional search. If she dreams of wealth, status, or vivid emotions, she will have to take a risk. This approach has become key in the modern world. More and more women are breaking the system to make their choice the most effective. The main thing is to realize that even the most unavailable man can become close if approached strategically. Modern tools give women unprecedented opportunities, but you have to know how to use them. The filtering algorithm still works, but now it is applied not to 5 country boys, but to thousands of candidates around the world. All that remains is to make the right choice, instead of the bottom line. The filtering algorithm is the most important mechanism for choosing a woman. It is thanks to it that there is no perfect candidate. All potential suitors are screened out by dozens of characteristics, and as a result, each woman likes completely different guys. And the same girl today may like one, and tomorrow another. This explains the theory of serial monogamy, which forces people to change companions after a certain period of time. Today, you are the one with whom you want to live until death, and tomorrow, you are completely unsuitable. Men, of course, are not satisfied with this state of affairs. They want the rules of the game to be clear. They want to know that there is a single image of a normal man. Girls made a choice from a limited number of candidates and united models of searching genes and prey. It would be easier that way, but pretty soon we'd all be extinct. Imagine, all of the fairer sex likes the same type. This means that 90% of men would be left with nothing and would not prolong their lineage. After a few generations, the lion's share of unique characteristics would cease. Everyone will become the same. If your environment and world situation changes, you could easily become unviable. End of story. But fortunately, the filtering algorithm is carefully thought out by the creator. The groom's task comes to the forefront: to find a carrier of strong genes or to bind a prey to her. Then the climate and environment come into play. It is hot or cold, crime around or absolute safety, human capital or brute physical force is valued. After that, the mechanism of screening comes into play according to the parameters that this particular girl considers important. Further, the search zone is determined: around yourself, or use the internet, trips to other cities and countries. Men have nothing like that and never have. We are more conservative and follow the usual rules. That is why the choice is always left to the woman. You can feed your ego with the fact that you allegedly found, achieved, conquered, and brought home a desirable companion. But all this happened only because dozens of parameters coincided, and she simply found no reason to refuse. You were born near her, or she was born on you. You have a beard, and she saw it as a sign of strong genes. You're smart, and in her mind, that's what her children need in today's world. You're calm or aggressive. You have a lot of money or a great sense of humor.